Hi, this is Alessio, Rastani, leading trader. Hope you're well, and welcome to this week's update on Bitcoin. And what I'm going to do in this video is essentially show you what's been happening so far in Bitcoin and what this drop in Bitcoin potentially means. Plus, we're going to look at this very important chart on Google Trends and what it potentially means for the cryptocurrency. And of course, we're going to discuss what could be happening here right now and what the charts are telling us in regards Bitcoin prices. So before I do that, I want to first of all just recap, because in my previous video that I posted some weeks ago, and I posted this on my YouTube and my Facebook page, what I said at the time is that we're going to see a potential three-wave move. In other words, what's called an ABC move. And this C wave is going to take us potentially to 10,000, which, by the way, is exactly what's happened so far. We've had that C wave, which I'll talk to you about, to 10,000 at the moment. And by the way, if you're not familiar with what that means, what we're talking about is what's called Elliot wave theory. And Elliot wave theory simply says that markets tend to trend in 5 waves. And what Elliot wave theory also says is that most corrections in the price are formed of 3 waves. 3 waves called ABC, which, by the way, we've seen many times happen on Bitcoin as well. So let's just take a look at the chart of Bitcoin right now. And here it is. This is a weekly time frame chart of Bitcoin. So every bar you see here is essentially 1 week of Bitcoin prices. And this is an important chart to watch because there is a level here you need to keep an eye on. There's a level on this chart that's called the weekly 21 moving average. That's the blue line that I've labeled here right there. Okay, now I'll explain the significance of this in a few moments, but let's just take a look at the wave count. And as I just mentioned a few moments ago, it appears that what we're seeing right now on this chart is that 3-wave correction that I talked about, A, B, and the C wave. Okay, now this C wave potentially is completing right now as we speak, or it may take a couple of more weeks, maybe a few more weeks to complete. But nonetheless, this appears to be, if this is a correction, this appears to be the 3-wave or the C wave of this correction, according to Elliot wave theory. And by the way, if this wave count is correct, and if this is a potential C wave of this correction, then according to Elliot wave theory, we should see a renewed movement, a new wave up higher, to at the very least retest the previous highs near 20,000. Okay, now we'll come to that in a few moments. But what is certainly interesting is that after this huge move up that we saw last year, we're seemingly completing now this pullback or correction, which I talked about in my previous video. Again, this is not by any means a crash, as the media is calling it. Yes, it's a 50% drop in the price of Bitcoin, but a crash or a bear market? No, hardly. In fact, as I'll show you in a few moments, let me just show you this now. As you'll see on this chart, now take a look over here. If I just pull this back a little bit, you will see that in September of last year, notice that Bitcoin also saw a rally higher. And then what did it do? It had a reversion to the mean, to its 21 weekly average. And what did it do? It also held that level and managed to bounce from it. Then let's take a look a bit further back. There it is. So here is Bitcoin back in March of 2017. Again, with a rally and then a reversion to the mean, a pullback to the 21, that's the 21 weekly average, the key level on the chart. And look, again, buyers jumped in at this point and then pushed up price of Bitcoin higher, just as we saw in September of this year. Again, let's push this back a bit further. Back in July of 2016, we saw a pullback, a reversion to the mean, to the weekly 21 average. And you can see again, the market, Bitcoin held this level, then buyers jumped in, managed to push the price of Bitcoin back again to new highs. Now, is this guaranteed to work every single time? Of course not. Nothing is ever guaranteed to work every single time. As I'm sure you're probably aware, in the markets and when it comes to chart analysis, it's all about probabilities. Nothing is about certainties. So there's a strong probability, therefore, that this level that we're seeing on Bitcoin right now, that's certainly we've tested, okay, this 21 weekly average, could pose as a strong level of support for Bitcoin prices that might actually hold Bitcoin for the time being. In fact, you can see we've already bounced from this level. As you will see here, we've already managed to come down and bounce up from this level. So anyone who took the recommendation I made in my previous videos to use these pullbacks as buying opportunities essentially is already in profit. Now, this is a very important chart regarding the sentiment on Bitcoin. Now, what this chart of Google Trends is showing to us is something very important, which is that the interest in the phrase buy Bitcoin peaked somewhere in December. Now, this is obviously not surprising because when Bitcoin rallied and hit those high levels near 18 to 19,000, there was a sudden surge in interest in Bitcoin. And remember, this is just typical human nature. And this is why I encouraged in my previous video to keep an eye on the sentiment out there, because we want to do the opposite of the crowd. So notice that now the sentiment on Bitcoin has turned almost negative. In fact, it's gone below the 50 level. Okay, and whenever a sentiment goes below the 50 level, as you can see here, that shows to us potential opportunities. And I think right now, we're support, we're at the weekly 21 average, and the sentiment on Bitcoin has gone extremely negative. So right now, certainly we're seeing the right conditions for a potential buying opportunity on Bitcoin. And by the way, if you want to see a video, a complete full video on what this chart means and Google Trends and everything else, I've already posted a video on this on my YouTube channel, which you can go ahead and watch. So if you go to this link, youtube.com/Alessio Rastani, or if you just go to my video section, you will see this video right over here that's called Don't Make This Dumb Mistake with Bitcoin. And I've explained the whole deal with regards Google Trends. So the question that many folks are asking right now is, okay, so we've had this ABC wave on Bitcoin, but does that mean now that we're going to see a new wave higher to retest the previous highs near 1920,000? Certainly, if history repeats itself, if we see the same historical pattern repeating itself, which it could certainly this time as well, we might actually see a renewed buying towards previous highs and maybe potentially a brand new high. All it depends now is whether there are now more buyers than sellers in the market. The question is, are we going to see buyers joining the market, returning to the market, and now be able to push? In other words, are we going to see more demand than supply to be able to see that push higher towards the previous highs? So that really is the key right now, because we've come and tested the support, psychological support at 10,000. Again, the weekly 21 average, which we've come and tested. Please make sure you subscribe to our videos for future updates and videos like this. And also please give this video a thumbs up if you found it useful and if you liked it. Thanks very much. Bye for now.